You're listening to Meditation Magic Podcast, a podcast dedicated to exploring spirituality through guided meditation, card readings, magic, the metaphysical, and more. With me, your host, Brad. Hi, everyone. Welcome back or welcome to a new episode of Meditation Magic, and this time we are in Season 2. You may have noticed that the name has changed when I was doing the intro. So when I had first started this podcast, I was for some reason, really nervous about using my actual name. And I decided to go with a pen name, if you will, which is actually my Catholic confirmation name that I decided to just use for the sake of using it. But anyway, so I decided to go with using my actual name, which is Brad, and kind of reintegrating that into this podcast. So if you're wondering why the name has changed, and no, I'm not a different person. I mean, I guess we all are different people as time moves on, if you want to get all abstract and technical. But yeah, so if you're wondering why there was a name change, that is why. If you have been a longtime listener, I thank you for being patient while I was doing that pause period. And I am grateful that you are coming back. I decided that I wanted to do a season 2, as this has been officially a year of doing this podcast. And I thought that it would be a good time to kind of explore some new ideas and to kind of bolster some things that I have been interested in developing for this podcast. Originally, I was unsure if I was actually going to continue because I was helping a friend do another podcast. And I realized that in kind of waiting and not doing this, I felt like a little piece of my magic was missing. And I realized that in doing this, I kind of feel like it helps me to, connect or express myself or use my magic in its own way. And so I was, going back and forth thinking, oh, what do I do? Is this a good idea? Is this a bad idea? So what every good kind of witchy individual does, they go to their tarot and they start to flip cards. So I flipped 3 cards for myself just to kind of view what this situation would bring if I decided to continue this podcast in a new form or making it into the next season. And when I did that, the King of Pentacles, which in this case it's called the King of Coins, the King of Wands, and then the Queen of Chalices, which to me, it just felt like a really clear sign that this was something that I was being encouraged to keep doing. And to me, when I interpret these cards, I'm seeing it's kind of in this situation where I have, amassed this kind of abundance of control, security, and I have what I need. I have the vision for it and the drive to move forward. And deep down, it is something where my heart truly lies. Just in looking at these cards and kind of looking at these meanings of the cards and just interpreting the pictures for myself, it's just showing me that that is where I am kind of meant to be. So doing this podcast is where I'm meant to be and kind of validating my feelings that I really need to kind of go forward and keep working on it. So what I am planning now with this season 2 is I'm going to be doing a little bit of a restructuring, in that I'm going to be kind of incorporating some more things besides just meditation. So what that's going to look like is kind of, for the most part, including more of an initial weekly readout in terms of flipping some cards as for us as a collective who are listening. And then we're going to go into kind of either a reflection or a possible ritual moment that we might talk about, or a spell that we could kind of do. And then finally, still sticking with that meditation piece, where I will be creating some custom meditations for you as the listener that kind of sticks with the theme that we might be talking about, or, kind of touching base with perhaps new moon or full moon energies, really just kind of creating something that is connected to the podcast theme as a whole. Of course, I still want to continue doing periodic episodes where I do kind of do chats or interviews with individuals regarding, a range of topics, because I think that kind of helps to keep it a little bit more lively and more fun. And yeah, so this week it is actually, it's It is the eve of the spring equinox here in the Northern Hemisphere. And I thought today we would kind of talk about how really spring is a great time for those, fresh starts, kind of like a year. It's past that year in review. And we're going more so into planting those seeds that are going to start growing. So for me, this was a great time to resume this podcast because it's kind of like I thought about it, I took my pause, and now I'm ready to move forward with this new season. So switching gears here, let's move on to this episode's ritual chat. In this section of our episode, my goal is to have something to discuss that is more ritual-based, either kind of talking about what you could do for a potential ritual. It might be for more like an altar setup that has to do with the corresponding full moon or new moon that's coming up, or just general energies that are happening. It might even be something like a potential spell that you might want to use or kind of modify for your own purposes. Bottom line here, it's going to really focus on more of like the magic part of Meditation Magic Podcast. So let's talk about the spring equinox, which in the Northern Hemisphere is happening. And it's kind of that time where light and dark are balanced, much like the autumnal equinox that happens in fall. So it's really a time of, I think, for cleaning, for cleansing, for balancing, and kind of looking forward to see like what goals you might be planting that you kind of want to move forward with. For example, I know that a lot of people celebrate Ostara as well. And, there's Easter for the Christian folks. And there's just so much kind of holiday time that has to do with rebirth and kind of like the restoration of life, so to speak. So one ritual idea that I actually did last year is I wrote on a piece of paper a goal that I have, and then I took an egg and I blew the yolk out of it. And once I cleaned out the egg, I rolled up my goal and I put it inside the egg and then did a little, like meditation with it, kind of like focusing my energy on it. And then I took that egg and I planted it in the earth. So it's kind of like symbolic of like the egg being something that can hatch and, grow, but also the egg acting as a symbolic seed that I planted into the earth in the hopes that my goal would manifest. And I suggest when you do that, if you use a real egg, because that way those are biodegradable, obviously, and you don't have to worry about putting anything toxic into the earth itself. So I do think that's kind of a great idea for a type of ritual that you could do for spring. But today I actually was going to talk about creating a spring cleaning mixture that you can use to perhaps cleanse your sacred space. And basically it's pretty simple. It's just taking a mixture of rosemary, lemon, lavender, sage, and a little bit of thyme, and mixing it together in a bottle. You can add a quartz crystal if you want to kind of amplify that energy. And then adding either witch hazel or vinegar, or you can add vodka. And you kind of like give it a little shake, kind of like mix it up. And then you can use it to cleanse your space. And it will not only kind of help to take away some of that grime that you might have building up, that I'm sure we all do at this point, but it's also really great for clearing any negative energy and kind of lifting the spirits, so to speak. So if we look at the herbs that I suggested, you have rosemary, which is great for clarity. It's actually great for protection and purification. And the lavender is great because, again, it has that kind of like protective healing property that goes really well with rosemary, in my opinion. And it's kind of just great for creating a calming space. The sage kind of helps to, again, do some purification. And by adding some thyme is also a really great herb for protection, purification, healing, things like that. These are also herbs that are used in that Four Thieves mixture, which was what the grave robbers essentially put on themselves so that they wouldn't get the plague when they were dealing with body removal and or taking the valuables from the dead, which not so good. But anyway, so these are popular herbs that are used in those types of mixtures. Honestly, if you Google them, there's so many different recipes, so it's really hard to nail it down of what is the actual one, so to speak. However, these are common herbs that you are going to see used in that mixture. I also added lemon into this mixture, one, because it smells fantastic, and I always associate lemon with like clean and cleaning. And, in terms of aromatherapy, it has a really like great brightening effect, I think, in kind of creating like that sense of joy. And magically speaking, lemon is great for purification, and I also think for protection as well. So that's kind of like our herbal mixture. And now we'll talk about the crystal piece. So when in doubt, quartz crystal is perfect. It's kind of like that all-purpose crystal. And just kind of before you put it into the mixture, take a second to think of your intention that you want to create a, purification spray or a spring cleaning spray, and may this crystal help enhance those energies. Obviously, because you're not going to be drinking this, you can put your crystal in it. When it comes to putting crystals inside water or whatever liquid that you're planning on drinking, you need to do a lot of careful research, because sometimes putting a crystal in that kind of liquid is poisonous. So please make sure that you check before you do that if that is ever your intention. These types of solvents like vodka or vinegar are also potentially damaging to those crystals, because they can be eroded by, things like vinegar, depending on the hardness or whatever. I don't know the exact scientific reasoning behind it, but bear in mind that if you are putting a crystal into a liquid, it can damage your crystal as well. So if you rather, you can kind of just tie the crystal to the outside of the bottle, or you can, spend some time just letting the crystal sit next to the bottle and take on those energies. Finally, the whole vodka or vinegar or witch hazel, that just helps to draw out the medicinal properties of the herbs. And it's also useful for helping to lift that grime, dust, etc. that might be on your sacred space or in your home or whatever area you might be cleaning. I also kind of created a little spell, rhyme, whatever you want to call it, prayer. And basically, it's just pretty simple. It's lemon, lavender, sage, rosemary, and thyme. I call on you to purify and brighten this space. Energies ebb, energies flow. Energies that do not serve me now must go. And I would recommend maybe repeating that 3 times. You might need to write that down. I know I did. That way, it really helps to infuse your intention into your spray so that it's ready to be used for your spring cleaning ritual. And then once that's done, you can use that spray to pretty much wipe down your altar space, wipe down any objects that you have there. You could use it kind of just like spray it into the air to help kind of dispel any negative energies or stagnant energies and to really brighten the space. This is a brew that's really meant for that balancing, cleansing piece that we all really need to do, for springtime, doing that spring cleaning. So I hope that you give it a go. And if it is something that you enjoy, I hope that you let me know. Finally, you can also, I personally, working with deities just isn't my thing right now. But if you are into that, you could definitely incorporate some sort of offering to Persephone, since this is totally her thing right now, springtime. You could maybe even fit Persephone into the spell. There's a lot of things that you could do to kind of add, an essence of that. There are other deities that have to do with spring, and if that's who you prefer, then by all means, you may do that as well. So let's move on now to the meditation piece of this episode. As I was talking about earlier, this meditation is going to be based around doing some personal spring cleaning. And it's going to be a guided meditation, and we're going to be using the imagery of like a really nice ornate mirror. And we're going to be kind of doing some examination, if you will, taking a look at ourselves in that mirror, and even looking at the mirror itself and seeing, does that mirror need to be cleaned up? Does our reflection show that we look maybe a little haggard, or maybe we have some energy that needs to be wiped away? And we're going to be using kind of like a special spray to wipe away any energies that no longer serve us, and cleaning up that mirror, and really getting ourselves ready for this new season, preparing ourselves for growth and for this time of moving forward. Winter was a time of being dormant and kind of taking stock, and now we transition into a time of rebirth and regrowth. So with that, Find a comfy spot and let's get started with this meditation. Oh, I miss saying that. Let's begin this meditation practice by finding a comfortable position, either sitting on the floor, in a chair, or even lying down if that's more comfortable for you. Finding a position that keeps you at your most comfortable while still being able to maintain a straight spine. Begin by exhaling all of the air out of your lungs. And then take a gentle inhale through your nose, holding that air inside your lungs, and releasing it out through your mouth. And again with a gentle inhale through your nose. Hold. And exhaling that air out of your mouth. And one final time, inhale through your nose. Hold. And exhale all the air through your mouth. I want you to return to your normal breathing, feeling your belly rise and fall with the breath. Becoming aware of the air traveling in through your nose and going down your throat to your lungs. And leaving your body. Taking a few moments here to focus on your breathing. I want you to envision either roots or energy cords forming at the base of your spine, traveling down your legs, through the floor and the foundation of your home, going deeper and deeper into the earth. And as these cords travel deeper and deeper into the earth, they eventually find a spot and they begin to root themselves. And as these cords begin to travel outwards in the earth, you begin to feel a sense of stability and balance, pulling up that grounding energy through these cords or these roots and into your body. Allowing any energies that don't serve you right now to be released and returned through those roots or those cords back into the earth. And now I want you to envision a sphere of energy forming around your entire body, surrounding you in a protective barrier. This energy can be any color, as long as it provides you with a sense of protection. Feeling the energy swirl and strengthen around you, knowing that this protective barrier will be with you throughout your meditation practice today. And now I want you to imagine a full-length, ornate mirror before you. A little too far to see your reflection yet, but take a second here and envision the detail on the ornate mirror. Is it made of crystal or glass? Is the frame around the mirror made of wood or metal? How do the designs around the mirror reflect your inner self? Now I want you to step closer to the mirror, and as you step closer, begin to notice the state of the mirror. Is it dusty? Is it shining? Is it tarnished? Are there areas that need a little work? And now as you get closer to this mirror, you're able to see your reflection. Take a moment to look at your reflection, noticing any areas that are in need of some rebalancing or cleansing. Perhaps noticing areas that have blossomed over this year. You might see energy around your body, like an aura, or perhaps some cords or lines that may be attached to you or floating around you. Taking note of that energy and the feeling you get. On a small table next to you, you see a crystal bottle full of shimmering liquid. And next to this bottle is a beautiful, soft, white cloth. Take the stopper out of the bottle and pour some of this shimmering liquid onto the cloth. And as you pour the liquid onto the cloth, notice how the cloth begins to glow, and you can feel the energy and vibrations pulsate in the cloth itself. And intuitively you know that this liquid will help to remove any energies that no longer serve you, restore your mirror to its perfect state, and infuse you with an energy that will serve you for your highest and greatest good. Turn yourself to your mirror now and begin by first polishing the mirror itself, removing any tarnish or dust. any energetic buildup, using the liquid and the cloth to wipe away anything that no longer serves you for your highest and greatest good. And as you use the liquid to clean your mirror, notice how the mirror itself begins to pulsate with a new, beautiful energy. And once the mirror has been cleansed, shift your focus to your reflection. You may need to pour more shimmering liquid onto the cloth. Begin to clean the reflection, wiping away any energies that no longer serve you, polishing yourself with this beautiful liquid. Balancing your energies, and returning yourself back to your perfect state. And as you clean your reflection, you may begin to feel yourself fill with the new energy. You may feel yourself begin to shift. Giving yourself permission to allow anything that no longer serves you to be wiped away. To your beautiful best self. And once your reflection is clean and the mirror is clean, look over everything one last time. And once you are satisfied, you can place the liquid and the cloth back on the table. Take a few moments here to simply enjoy the clean mirror and the beautiful reflection within it. Knowing that you have returned yourself back to your best self. You are cleansed of anything that no longer serves you for your highest and greatest good. And you are balanced. And at this time, as I count back from 3, begin to bring yourself back to full awareness. Returning back in 3, wiggling your fingers and toes. 2, giving yourself a little stretch. 1, and 0, back to full awareness. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Meditation Magic Podcast. As always, you can contact me at meditation.magic on Instagram, or you can always send us an email at meditationmagicpodcast@gmail.com. I would love to hear your feedback, anything that you would love to hear in a meditation or perhaps magic-wise. As always, if you can comment, rate, subscribe, like, etc., that's always really helpful because that helps the algorithm help other people find this content too. So, with that, stay safe, stay well, And until next time.